Right, our final panel for this evening. I would like to welcome to the stage. Are you there, Ndumiso? You ready? Faisal's coming back to join us. We have Samzizy from Seven Leaf, flew down from Joburg today. Where is he? We have the Craft Cannabis Consultants and Marijuana SA. I think Andrew's coming up. So give it up for Craft Cannabis Consultants, Marijuana SA. Okay, where's Samzizy? Samzizy, where are you? He came all the way from Joburg, so we can't start without him.
Can you hear me?
This is Samzizy's magazine. Have you heard of Seven Leaf? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay, it's a great magazine, so we're really trying to support him growing it. Yes, there we go, there's the man. Put your hands together for Samzizy. Right, guys. So let's get into the industry. Samzizy, we haven't heard from you yet, so I'd like to welcome you. Thanks for coming down from Joburg. We met at the Cannabis Expo last week, and as I said, doing amazing things with your magazine, so really was good to meet you and get some insight. Let's just quickly talk about the Joburg scene. What's popping in Joburg?
Well, Joburg, it's a bit slow. I was in KZN. Last week I was fascinated by what was happening in KZN. We're seeing a lot of shops popping up, where you can walk in and literally buy your flower, buy your edibles, and the cops are not giving them grief.
In Joburg, huh?
No, KZN.
Oh, in KZN.
KZN is way ahead of everybody.
And in Joburg, the same thing happening, or not quite?
We've got a few joints here and there, but they're still low-key. Every now and then you hear they've been hit and all that. But what I saw in KZN over the week astounded me.
That's impressive. That's interesting to know. Guys, how's it this side? So let's just talk about the scene here. Are you excited about it? What's happening? Give me some insight into what's going on the ground.
Yeah, Cape Town's got a lot going on. I think the development of private clubs has been a massive impact, and the actual use of, trying to work the area where it is at the moment in terms of legality has been pretty cool. But Cape Town's developing its own little craft niche market around cannabis. You're seeing that with clubs, you're seeing that with the specific genetics that are being worked with. Yeah, it's really cool.
Let's just talk about the clubs quickly. I know that the Dacha couple put together a mandate, which you can actually find at the Fields of Green stand, which they took some research from the Barcelona club scene, which apparently is really advanced and very professional, very slick. And they've put a mandate and some advice together on how clubs could run here. From your perspective, how are those clubs running at the moment? I know there's kind of a bit of a grey area at the moment, but what's your perspective on that?
I think private clubs are the future, especially in Cape Town, because it allows people the social capacity to use safely, and by keeping it private, the police can't hinder you in any way. And if you follow the right framework around it, then it is the future. It's the way we are going to develop as a community, especially here.
Very important to do it, to stick to that framework, especially.
Yeah.
I think that's the important thing is, the law is the law, and it doesn't matter how we emotionally feel about it. It's the reality, and, if we work within the framework and keep nudging it forward and trying to change it, makes our lives easier. And also just to go rogue and be totally irresponsible is also not the best thing for the industry, not the best thing to face to put forward. Do you find that there's a kind of rogue industry in Joburg, Samzizy? Do you think people are pushing the boundaries there underground? I know there's been a few raids recently up in your neck of the woods. Are you the naughty boys in Joburg?
Well, I'm not going to tell on anybody. But look, yeah, we've kind of gone a bit under the radar in Joburg. But I think what's now happening is more of the recent legislation that came out, the directive actually, not a legislation, from the head of the SAPS, indicating that people should not be arrested. So it's been really a back and forth, especially with the activists within the space, where they've had to really take people out of jail who've been arrested for retailing in one way or another.
But they're still getting arrested on the ground, huh?
Yeah, the arrests are still ongoing, yeah.
And Joburg cops are tough, huh?
There's some good ones, though. You'll find some good ones, but they're really tough, yeah.
Well, what's the perspective from the police on the ground there? Have you had any contact with them? Have you spoken to any of them? Do you know what, are they just confused or?
I think what the challenge really with the police force and the suspension of the legislation part that required that decriminalize per se cannabis is that the information was not filtered down correctly. It's different now with this directive that I spoke about because it came from the chief of police and filtered down. Whereas with the suspension of the legislation that led to criminalization, the information did not filter down to the SAPS through the systems as fast. And you discover also that from the time we've been, like for instance, we've been brought up to believe that cannabis is bad, and along the way we realize the other side. So imagine being brought up to believe that and being trained as an SAPS member to believe that, for you to unwind your brain to then understand that, okay, now I can see someone smoking a J and let them go. It's a long journey, eh?
It's a very long journey, especially on the front line. So I think this is why, there's sort of a passive-aggressive approach without being too blatant about it. Walking up to a policeman and smoking a joint in his face is probably not a good idea at the moment, But diplomacy, I think, is important in this day and age and what we're going through, without being too passive, Let's talk about what's happening in Cape Town in terms of what kind of businesses you're seeing popping up, and where you think that's going.
Yeah, so I think the business scene in Cape Town really is finally starting to catch up to Joburg, KZN. It's not as far along as it is yet, but I think eventually we'll be on par. I think the whole of South Africa.
When you say it's not as far along, what does that mean?
I think we were just a little bit later to the party. There's still, a very good underground sort of network, but the guys in Joburg and KZN were quick to put their faces to their businesses, quick to get their names out there, and then from that they got that initial traction. But I think with things like this here in Cape Town, with craft cannabis sessions, weekly events, breakfast sessions, I think it'll eventually start to catch up.
Sorry, just to add on that, I feel the reason why KZN is kind of outrunning everybody now is because the government is taking a direct initiative to be part of the decision-making process in terms of positioning cannabis within the economy. So they're creating a framework within the province that the government is trying to roll out nationally, and they're doing it faster. So I think that's why they're really way ahead of everybody in the industry, commercially speaking.
I guess it's also like a prime region for growing because of the climate. They've been growing sugar there for many years, so it's just a switch to a large degree. So they obviously see the economic benefit in front of them. Just give talk a bit more about the kind of businesses that are opening here at the moment. I know, Zootli is open, there's CBD shops opening. What other kind of business are you seeing opening?
So with the business popping up, a lot of guys in Cape Town are doing sort of grow stores like us. There's a variety of seed banks in Cape Town already. And they're popping up and they seem to be doing well. A lot of CBD guys, it's maybe slightly too many perhaps. I think from the expo it was quite flooded with the CBD side. But I suppose if there's guys that come in with licenses and a proper formula, I think it'll take off well. But yeah, they're going slowly, they're picking up quickly. They seem to be doing well, which is a good sign.
What are some of the challenges that we face in South Africa? Apart from the challenges getting legislation over the line, what are some of the on-the-ground challenges we face here?
I think, especially from our perspective, given what we do as JCC with regards to media, is that a lot of the challenges still come from how people receive what people like myself, Andy, Sev and Leaf, and a lot of media companies that put out information. They perceive this as like a continuation of just like stigmatized stoner behavior, and I think a big thing we've tried to do is prove that it's not like that at all, and this is just another evolving industry where people are building professional careers and professional livelihoods, and that's what it's all about.
Come on, let's give a round of applause. There's some clapping going on there. Yes, agreed.
Yeah, I can also second that. I reckon, they are slowly getting less and less barriers to entry. There is almost none if you play within the sort of vague rules that we do have. But yeah, I think slowly they are lifting the veil and making it a little bit easier, especially like the banks and doing things like that. It's still difficult, but it is getting a little bit easier.
Step by step. We're going to take a few questions. So if I just want to make sure the mics are in the audience, ready to roam. So if you guys could, if you have any questions, put your hands up and the guys will come to you. Samzizy, how often do you come to Cape Town?
1, 2.
Samzizy, yeah? I thought I heard you say it wrong right there. Well, look, as the need arises, so it's not like there's a systematic way, but if a need arises, like for instance today, we landed in the morning just for this function. So as the need arises, and especially when we realize that the cause is part of the, because one of the primary things that we work on as a magazine is to relay the correct information to the masses, and to work against the disinformation that has gone on over the years. So your gathering like this identifies with the vision that we carry, where you fill the people with the correct information around the cannabis industry. So definitely we will show up if you invite us.
And let's just talk a few minutes about your magazine. How's that doing? You've got your second edition is out. How's that doing? How's that working out?
We've been doing activations around the, well, we did Joburg, we did KZN, and today is part of Cape Town. It's exciting, especially with communities like this, because it's targeted community, you know. It's people who love cannabis. But what we've done is we've managed to get into 6 engine garages in Joburg. The guys hit a spa this week. So we're pushing the doors. We're trying to work on the limits and see where that ends.
Great. Well, you're doing a great thing. So please, guys, don't leave here without getting a copy. The stand over there, they're fresh off the plane from Joburg. So it's a good magazine, and we should be supporting it, because as it grows, the industry will go. Right, we got any questions? No? No questions? There's a question at the back there. If we can just take the mic over there.
When are we organizing and centralizing as a people? Because the people have the vote and the people can, you know, we've started a war and we freed ourselves. So this is just another battle that we have to basically fight as hard as possible as a united force in terms of everybody is on the same page. How do we do that, guys?
How do we mobilize?
Question for the floor, for everybody. So not just for you guys, for everybody.
No, that's good. That's good. You know, I like the fact that we're talking provincially, and they were asking what's happening in Cape Town, KZN, what's happening in Joburg, Gauteng. From my research and from my experience reaching out to the masses, I'll tell you what, Cape Town is a bigger number of a cannabis force, so to say, than anywhere where I've been. They come out, they participate, you know. So, and in relation, in Joburg, you can throw a function, a cannabis function, and your 40 circle will come out, but you won't meet any new faces. So I think when you talk about mass collaboration now, this is one of the few drugs, cannabis, sorry to refer to it as a drug, this is one of the few plants where its legalization has been pushed by the masses and not by the pharmacists. So what you then realize is already the masses, without organization per se, are organized in terms of pushing the mandate so that the government can decriminalize and legalize cannabis. So the fight is happening as we speak, my brother. It's just not as organized and not in with uniforms.
I think being here is part of that, and sharing knowledge and getting everything online and just talking about it. It's important. Any other questions? No? They're a quiet bunch. You guys have obviously given all the information needed. Right. Any other comments on the industry before we wrap it up?
I think there's one question.
Did I see, was there a question over there? Yes. There we go. If we can get the mic over there, please.
Yes, greetings everyone. Hey Trenton, on the business thing. Yeah, we do hear everybody wants to make business. That's all good. We're just saying who's the watchdog for the poor and the needy. You understand? Because the show nice here, we're in City Hall and everything, but our reality is township, ghetto, drugs, gangs. So the industry good, the business is good, we don't fight the business. You know, we're just saying who's the watchguard for the people. And what I see in the whole cannabis thing, there's lots of capitalism in it. I say we need some socialism, you know what I mean? Yeah, so just all I can say, you're the leaders here. You're a young generation. There was some growers earlier saying, yo, if you don't know, just hook up the OGs, you know what I mean? The OGs teach them and guide them, and the OGs not really thinking of major California business or anything, you understand? So just don't forget the OG, all the Orukas from Innova Park, Mitchell's Plain, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's all I'm saying, you know what I mean? Just, the ganja is the healing of the nations, and if you're strong, you've helped the weak, okay? So this industry must be very aware of the consciousness, you know? And as a Rastafari, as a member of the Rastafari community, we recall the first marches for cannabis. Like you say in Joburg, you get your 420 crowd and no new faces. The first march is pure Rastafari people, you know what I mean? And we love you, we one people, we know we don't like, we the Rasta people, we the one love people. Just saying, we did never forget you, don't forget Aina Jah, Rastafari.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's a very important point, and you know, while Cannatech, something like Cannatech takes place, which costs 15,000 rand a ticket, this is $50 a ticket, and the whole point is there have to be different levels, and it's certainly a big concern we have that you know the home grower who's growing in googs in his backyard is able to grow, sell, and put his kids through school, and you know, and that is our biggest concern at the moment, is that with all the sort of licensing, that people on the ground and all your farmers in the Eastern Cape all of a sudden become, you know, wiped out because of that, and that would be a tragedy if that happens. So I think it's very, very important that as a community that we are a strong voice, that this is not just for the sort of capitalist market, but it can filter down and really have a positive impact on all different levels of our communities.
Yeah, especially that while we're young in a developing economy and industry, we really have to work together to protect the South African market against the internationals that come in. I mean, yes, they have years of experience on us. We're not nearly there, but I think if we really try to work together to be a community here in South Africa, at least let us find our own way. We don't necessarily need such a big influence from their side. They're in. They're here already, all the seeds, all the different banks and all the different equipment companies. But like, thankfully, there are a couple light companies coming up in South Africa. And I think we can really give them a run for their money, and we can really be put our name on the map.
Yeah, absolutely. We're an innovative country for many reasons, so I totally agree. Great. Any more questions, or we're going to call it? No? Okay, guys, thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it. Put your hand together, please.